Thank you for joining me today for today's Watercolor for Relaxation video. As you know, I love to teach watercolor painting classes along with fun and simple relaxation techniques that can help you really reduce stress and anxiety in your life. I've been a painter for a really long time, so be sure to check out my other videos on painting and also textile design. Close your eyes, and what I want you to do is to just start with a comfortable seat. You can start by placing your hands on your knees. Your spine is nice and long, and we're going to start by just taking 2 or 3 deep breaths. So relaxing the forehead, the tongue in the roof of your mouth. Let it relax. Inhale here through the nose. Inhale. And on your exhalation, just let everything go. Kind of noticing how you're feeling right now. So take another deeper inhalation in to the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And on your exhale, again, letting any tension or anxiety go. Going to do one more, relaxing our shoulders, our neck, breathing in, getting lots of oxygen to the lungs, and letting that air flow throughout the body, inhaling and exhaling. When you're ready, letting it go. So I want to encourage you today, when you're sketching, I want you to make sure that you're really breathing. We're doing a fun exercise that I love to do called color changing lines. And I'll even teach you how to add some cool patterns and some doodling to your work. You'll hear me speaking pretty softly throughout this video because I want to make sure that it's peaceful for you and that you're letting go of any worries or any anxiety. I like to do these exercises before bed, or even sometimes in the morning. Can be really helpful to set the tone for the day. The first thing I'm going to have you do is pick up your pencil, and I'm going to let you just kind of flow. What I mean by that is you can do some curves. So in my class, I always say that there are straight lines, there are C curves, and there are S curves. And when you think of an S curve, I want you to just think of the letter S. When you think of a C curve, think of the letter C. I don't want you to think too much when you're drawing these. So just take a deep breath in. And on your exhale, let the line flow. So inhaling and exhaling, letting your lines really flow. You can turn your paper at any time. Okay, just making sure that you're not overly thinking as you're sketching today, and you're sketching something extremely lightly, letting it flow. Go ahead and place your pencil down. You won't need it anymore for this class. Now what I want you to do is take an eraser, and I want you to erase part of any line that you feel like did not add to your overall composition. This is an exercise that I give to my students in creating a small abstract work of art. So we're creating a small abstract work today, and I hope that you really enjoy that. So once you have that, feel free to lighten any lines that you think are too heavy, especially if you can still see them, because we're going to follow along with them today. The next part of the video, I'm going to show you how to create some color changing lines. So if you have 2 different brush sizes, that can be really helpful. This is called a round. This is also another round. It's a size 6. You can even use like a really big brush and a really small brush for variety. But either way, just start with one. We're gonna do some wet on wet painting today, letting the colors flow. So what I'm gonna ask you to do is dip in, slide. Making sure you have the right amount of water on your brush is really important for watercolor. So if it's dripping maybe too much, slide, and then go ahead and wet out your line. You're only gonna wet one line at a time, all right? And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna dip in and you're going to pick whatever color speaks to you, whatever color you feel is right. Wet out your paint and you're gonna follow along that line. So following along that line is really important and really helpful. So dipping in, follow, 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 follow. And then at any time when you're ready, you can lighten the line by adding more water. But as you might have guessed, we're going to change the color somewhere on that line. I like to do it on the lighter area. So I've been working with some really pretty blue violet today. You're always welcome to pull color out of your palette and to mix color in an empty space. So feel free to do that. So I pulled out a little bit of blue violet. Now I'm mixing, mixing, mixing. And I'm gonna add a bit of blue violet to my line. Very nice. And I love to see what happens when the colors start to, I wanted it more blue, flow together. There we are. Just know it will dry differently, but the water is always going to follow the line that you started or the line that you put down. Okay. There you go. That's step one. Next, let's do another line segment. Oops, my color is already, my water and my brush had a little color, so you can do a better job rinsing yours off. But again, we're gonna do another line segment, another part of a line. And then we're gonna add color. Since mine is already like a lavender, I think I'm gonna pick up something that I think is gonna work really well with it. All right, nice, red violet. And I'm gonna follow, follow, follow the line. Take a nice deep breath in, make sure that you're breathing. Make sure you're not holding any tension in your shoulders or in your cervical spine, which is your neck area. And then you're gonna paint, paint, paint. Maybe even the rest of the line. I knew I wanted to start to go thinner and thinner with my lines. So you can do that. Now, I'm gonna switch brushes with that in mind. This is a good place to switch, I think. And again, I'm gonna wet out my line. I love to see what happens when the colors combine. This is a great exercise to just warm up or to remember how your paints really work. So again, unlock your creativity. I really believe that everybody is super creative and we just need to kind of practice and tap into it. Think about what color you want to use next. I want to try like a pretty light gray, so I'm gonna add some water to my black paint here today. And And maybe let a little violet get in there for interest. Move my palette out of the way. And then I'm gonna just follow that line. Now I'm gonna show you a technique that you've probably seen me use before, which is called salting the watercolor. And I'm gonna salt my watercolor just the tiniest bit. Actually really liked following this line with the black paint. I can make parts of it hyperpigmented, which means I can make parts of it have like even more color. Oh my gosh. Or more saturation. And then as usual, I always like to say push your paint wherever you want it to go. So again, I can, now if I have a wet area and I want to sprinkle, here's my table salt. I'm going to sprinkle a tiny bit of salt in for texture. The key is once you've salted, don't paint on top of the salt. Doesn't do anything. If you want to let the salt dry, you're going to see some pretty cool patterns emerge on your line. And now I only have one line left, and I'm really excited to see how everything is going to come together. I can repeat a color that I've already used, or I can do something kind of like different and new. I'm going to try this metallic color, and I'll just wash my palette after. It's a metallic, like a pearlescent white, and I'm gonna put some like ultramarine. Is this actually that's a little too blue. Maybe this one is gonna work into it. Yeah, I'm gonna try that. I think it's gonna look cool. And then sweep color out to the side of my work today. Now you have completed your color changing lines. I want you to let it dry. And you might be surprised, your painting might start to look a little bit different than you expected. In my next video, I'm gonna show you how you can go in with a black Sharpie and you can add some interest to your color changing lines. So be sure to check that out. I hope that you are feeling really relaxed now. If you got any smudges, you can actually wet them out a little bit. There we go. Sometimes I use my paintbrush as a little eraser to soak up color or to lighten color that needs to be lightened. But I love the fuzzy edges on parts of this, and I love the pattern that's happening with the salt. So everybody take one last deep breath in. Inhale through your nose and completely exhaling. Thank you guys for watching Watercolor for Relaxation. I'll see you next time. Make sure to like or subscribe if you'd like to see how I'm going to add permanent marker to this painting. See you next time.